So today we'll have another final version back from the site, which, you know, it's been going backwards and forwards. Hopefully that's the final one. Maybe it needs another couple of changes and it might take till tomorrow. Yeah. So
can you just spell it out what these specific delays are?
No delays. Just the wording of a long form agreement that's quite complicated and that's for a lot of money. Right? That's it. It's not something. You've got to remember, lawyers from our side, lawyers from AJ's side, lawyers from Tyson Fury's side, about 3 of them, right? Lawyers from the site, you know, the government involved as well. It's not. You don't just draft an agreement and they come back and go, yeah, done. Everyone wants a deal to be right, but I don't know. Like I said, I texted him last night and just said, well, what's the game? You know, so we'll just keep cracking on. And again, it's becoming. I don't want it to be boring for people. Do you know what I mean?
So it's in danger of becoming that.
I just feel like, look, we know. I agree. If I don't know, I believe we announce this fight next week. I do. You know, because if we don't, then I do agree with Bob. You know, by then, why wouldn't that be done?
Those are the words of Eddie Hearn, as Eddie Hearn explains that he said a lot, but the gist of it is the contracts are there, the drafts are there, the drafts are being sent over, and that is what the delay is. But he did say, if it's not here by the end of next week, yes, then he would agree with Bob that the fight is more than likely not going to happen. Now, I will say this. This is like somewhat of a continuation of my last video. Yeah, I didn't want it to get too long or lengthy, you know. Attention spans, right? I get it. But what Eddie's doing is he's doing it all on his own. We know that. But it could be a good thing that he is doing it all on his own, because then that would mean no one else could screw up or do anything that causes the fight not to go in the direction that he wants it to go in, because he's the only one doing it. So I think that we will soon see where this fight really is. Okay, now there are other factors that we have to deal with and we have to look at. And the other factors is a possible arbitration, because Bob has already said that they may consider the Wilder 3 fight now because of the delay. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, if you know the fight is this close to being done or whatever, and it comes to the end of the rope, why wouldn't you decide? See, you have Tyson Fury, you have John Fury, you have Frank Warren, you have Bob Arum, you have all these guys that have every and any little thing negative to say about the potential fighting AJ. And it's just strange to me how everyone gets so negative or just negative when it comes to fighting Anthony Joshua. It's weird. You know, it's like, dude, he's just one dude. Fight that one guy. Why does things have to be so difficult when it comes to Anthony Joshua? You know, you ask yourself, let's go back, okay? I want to take you guys back to 2018. 2018, we had failed negotiations again and again and again between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, right? And then when Tyson Fury called out Deontay Wilder obliged him by taking that fight, you know, and he looked at that fight as a cherry pick. We all know that. But the point I was trying to make is, when those guys started negotiating, it was supposed to have been like that, right? Oh, we'll get this done in a week. That's what was said about that fight, because they were so convinced that Team Hearn didn't want the fight with AJ versus Wilder. So obviously when you go with someone else and negotiate with someone else, it should be that smooth and that easy. And we'll show Team Joshua and Hearn how it's done. They said 1 week. It'll be done in 1 week. 1 week turned into 7. Okay, and that's what everybody was talking about. That's what everybody was bragging and boasting about, like Frank Warren and, Shelley Finkel and all these guys. They were talking about how fast it is. And I counted the weeks down. Still no announcement. Week 3, still no announcement. Week 4, still no announcement. Week 5, week 6, week 7, still no announcement. I think at the end of week 7 or maybe early week 8, we did finally hear an announcement of that fight actually being signed, sealed, delivered. Okay, so we can't pretend like this don't happen in other fights with other people. Because I just gave you an example of Tyson, Fury, Deontay Wilder. They supposed to, hey, agreed. Okay, cool. Let's get this fight happening. And it still took a while to happen. Okay. And a lot of that, it ain't really coming down to the fact that you have difficulties. It's just delays between countries, between people. The UK is 6 hours ahead of us. Okay, so they have to go back and forth with faxes and all types of stuff or scans, and those things have to be read over. It's a long process, more than you ever know. If you ever bought a house, okay, if you ever bought any type of property or even a car, right, or any kind, all those are contracts. Contracts to promise in writing that you're going to pay whatever you just bought. Contracts are the same way. So people have to understand, when you have a contract between two people, that contract has to be agreed on both sides. Okay, so this is what we have. So the draft, okay, a rough draft, final draft, we all know if you went to school at any point of time, you know that, hey, okay, we have a draft, okay? So the draft has to be completed before they can print out an actual contract. So until then, because they're just, some stuff like, no, this ain't going to work. So they'll send it back with instructions, right? So that's what we're talking about with that. And, I don't know if it's more to it than that. One thing I didn't hear by Eddie Hearn say is anything about Deontay Wilder at all. Maybe that's something Coogan would probably shed some light on, because that's one thing they left out. They were like, okay, it's been over a week, but then he didn't mention the Wilder. He didn't give that any energy at all, if you noticed. So I don't know if that is a factor, or he just purposely didn't bring up Deontay Wilder's name because he didn't want to give that any steam. Okay, because the last thing you want to do is a competitive promoter talking about another fighter that is promoted with someone else. So I thought that was strange. But like Eddie Hearn says, if it's not there by the week, he should be worried. That's how confident he is. So to counterpunch all this, we will see, people, where it's at next week. And if it's not there next week, you have to hold Eddie Hearn to his words that he made today. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of this interview and Eddie Hearn's comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.